These are the craziest Xbox features that you didn't know. First, let's talk about how you can avoid getting your Xbox account completely banned. When Microsoft released the updated Xbox dashboard, something often not talked about that was also introduced alongside it was the new strike policy. If players violate the Xbox community guidelines, they'll receive a strike. The severity of the violation determines the number of strikes and length of the punishment from the misconduct. And you can see from this table the exact amount of days you will lose depending on how many strikes you obtain, resulting in a loss of access to Xbox services. This includes features such as online play, voice chats, messages, and so on. And if you receive a total of 8 strikes, your entire account will be permanently banned. To avoid getting hit from the negative side of this Xbox feature, there are a few things you can do to combat it. Other than simply being a nice human in the games, be careful not to get caught abusing the Xbox Marketplace refund system. Super easy to purchase a bunch of games, play them for a few hours, and then request a refund, but if you do this too many times, you will violate this policy and that will also get you some strikes. It's quite an easy one to overlook that gets your account quickly flagged. Now, did you know that you can remap pretty much every single button on your Xbox controller to create custom presets? Inside of controller and headset settings, you can create custom controller profiles and remap all of the buttons, even without spending $200 on one of the Pro controllers. It works on just a regular gamepad. Select Configure, New Profile to customize the button layout. In here, you can adjust things like the stick and trigger sensitivity, change vibration settings, and also fix stick drift using the recalibration options, a massively underrated feature. But do be aware, you might need to undergo an update on your controller to ensure that all of these features are working correctly. A custom setup that I find super useful is with the share button. By default, the share button, if you just literally press it, will capture gameplay moments, screenshots, and so on. Personally, I never really do this or have any need to do this, but you can actually remap this to do loads of different things. Of course, there's the start-stop recording, Xbox party chat, shortcut boot, and other shortcuts that you can choose from this drop-down menu. The share button also has dual functionality. It has a press command and also a press and hold command, so you can do quite a lot of different things with this one button. Of course, this isn't the only button that you can remap to do something else. There's loads of different settings that are worth exploring within this menu and finding the perfect setup for you. Next, let's talk about how we can turn our Xbox into a PS5. Let me explain. When the new Xbox dashboard launched, gamers were treated to more background space, perfect for all of the awesome dynamic artwork. But did you know that there is a setting that you can enable to automatically change the background depending on the tile and app that you currently have selected? This makes your Xbox mimic the feature that's present on the PS5, where the background and also the background music will change depending on the game that you've chosen. If you head to Settings, Personalization, and then enable Game Art, now when you scroll around the Xbox dashboard and choose the different game tiles, it will boot up a custom background in correspondence with that title, and some of them are dynamic and move. Within this menu, you can also load in custom wallpaper images via a USB stick, which I've talked about in past videos, but more on that later. Now, of course, if you have a next-generation console, you're going to want the best possible visuals. Head to Settings, General, TV and Display options, and then inside of here, you want to go over to Video Mode. In here, you'll see a bunch of crosses and ticks, which will basically tell you what features are supported by your current display, your TV or monitor. Make sure you also have the correct HDMI cable, HDMI 2.1 ideally, to unlock further settings and capabilities. If supported, you want to enable things such as Auto HDR. This will enhance non-HDR games, essentially boosting the dynamic range and the brightness of those titles so they just feel a little bit more modern. HDR10, which gives you 10-bit color, improves brightness and also the color reproduction once again. Dolby Vision, which gives you better cinematic gaming, although it can sometimes introduce a little bit of input lag, but nothing too crazy. Variable Refresh Rate, also known as VRR. This reduces screen tearing and makes gameplay way smoother. And ALM, Auto Low Latency Mode, automatically enables game mode on your TV, resulting in lower input lag. If you do also have a super advanced next generation TV like the Samsung one or an LG or a Panasonic, sometimes these have FPS counters and also game mode specific settings for the panel itself. So it's worth also diving into those with the TV controller, customizing the preset further, and also checking what FPS some of those games are running at, because you might be surprised some titles might be actually hitting 120 at 4K, which is literally giving you gaming PC level performance. And on the topic of this, you can actually use a mouse and keyboard with your Xbox. Not many players are aware of this. If you don't like using a controller on some types of games, such as FPS or RPG MMOs, you can actually turn your Xbox into a mini gaming PC using a mouse and keyboard. This is something I did for a while with Call of Duty Warzone in particular. When there was a shortages on graphics card, I literally used my Xbox as a gaming PC, FOV slider as well, so I could essentially have the exact same experience as on my gaming PC, but play at a way higher resolution with a mouse and keyboard. There's a few ways you can connect this. You can do it via wireless mice and keyboard that have their own USB dongle. That works perfectly fine. Or you can just hook up a cheap wired mouse and keyboard for a very simple plug-and-play experience. Some of the advantages of going for something like a Logitech setup, those mice and keyboard have onboard memories, so you can connect those to your laptop, create custom DPI settings and profiles, and save them to the onboard memory of the mouse. And then when you plug that into your Xbox, those settings will actually be saved onto the device. So you have a little bit more customization than just the bog standard mouse and just basically adjusting the sensitivity of the sensor. You can adjust additional settings directly on your Xbox. Go to Settings, Device and Connection, and the mouse. Here you can change the pointer speed and also swap the primary and secondary button layout. And also on some particular games, you do need to have the controller connected at the same time. And what happens is sometimes the controller will vibrate even though you're using the mouse and keyboard as the main input source. So inside of those controller settings, you might want to also disable vibrations on your gamepad to prevent this from happening. Whilst you're inside of these controller settings, something that's worth enabling and having a play around with is co-pilot controllers. Now, this is an accessibility feature that's intended to allow you to have multiple Xbox gamepads connected to the console whilst controlling the same game. So someone can use the adaptive controllers, or they could have someone assisting them while they're playing. But a way you could utilize this is with a friend if it's a one-player game only. So if it's a single-player game and you're just switching gamepads and you're getting sick of taking turns, you could have two gamepads connected and split the controls. So someone might be in charge of the shooting, someone might be in charge of the aiming and moving the character or jumping and things like that. And it could result in some quite unique gaming experiences on games that are intended to be one player only, but you've turned it into two. You access this inside of Profile, System and Settings, Accessibility, Controller, and then you'll find Co-Pilot settings that let you add a second gamepad. Now, probably one of my favorite and most underrated features on the Xbox is dark and light mode. By default, your Xbox will be set to dark mode, which will mean all of the tiles will be gray. And this means it's super slick and modern. A lot of people like dark mode. But if you want that more vintage Xbox 360 nostalgia vibes, you can enable light mode. This will change all of the tiles to white, giving you that classic Xbox experience that you're more familiar with. And in some instances, depending on the quality of the display, it can make things a little bit easier to read. If you don't have the brightest monitor in the world, boosting it into light mode can often help with reading text and so on cheaper displays. There is a way to also sequence this to automatically change between light and dark mode depending on the time of day, so you can maximize and experience both of these visual options, but that's completely up to you if you actually want to set this up in the auto settings. I personally run my Xbox Series X in dark mode because it's like more elite and pro, but my Xbox Series S, I run that in light mode because it's a little bit more friendly and light-hearted because it's more of a casual and chill console. Now, if you want to learn more about how you can add those custom images to your Xbox dashboard, you should watch this next, because if you like this, you'll like that.